Hello, I'm here to do a video that is all about my mental health lately and how, when you're preparing to testify after 3 years of waiting and then some, it's terrifying. Not in the ways you might think, though, and that's why I wanted to do this. And I apologize ahead of time. I am so plugged up from a really bad cold, so I'm breathing through my mouth. I'm going to have to inhale a couple of times. So I apologize greatly for that. But that aside, I wanted to just have a real conversation and sit down and really talk with you and check in and be real, because I've been looking to kind of hear people's perspectives and see what they think, and there's not a lot of people talking about how they were feeling at this point. There's a lot of people who talked about after or way before, but not this stage. And I talked a lot way before, and I've been really quiet lately. And I feel really bad about that, actually. It's not fair to the people who were listening and kind of following along, and for that I'm sorry. I just wanted to really explain kind of where the worries come from, for me at least. You see on these shows that aren't fully accurate by any means. They're embellished because they're TV shows. You see how they play things out. And then for my questions, the big thing when they were questioning me was they went over and over and over, what dates, what happened, what dates. And if you don't know the exact date, get as close as you can and be as sharp as you can on finding the exact date. And that's fine, but I was beaten by this person a lot of times. And so I was writing down more than a dozen counts of somebody hitting me. And even if they weren't necessarily going to be charging him for every single individual time, it was just for him hurting me, essentially. They wanted to kind of show the pattern, I guess, if that makes sense. And have proof of other people who had seen it, so they could corroborate, this person saw it at this date, yeah, I agree that it happened, whatever. That's fine, and that's wonderful. And that's super easy when it happened, 6 months ago, even a year ago. But when you're talking about something that, to heal, you can't be thinking about this every day. And that's the biggest thing, is you need to start to try to move on, feel safe, not feel terrified all the time. And he made it hard because, I'm hearing from people always posting this terrible thing he's lying about. He was lying and saying that he's going to court and these court dates because it's for trying to get custody of a child with me. That had nothing to do with any court date, but that's what he's been telling people, that I'm this monster and he's trying to take this kid. Feel free to see Cap it in Wisconsin. Raylan Lewandowski and Christian Camden would be the name to look up. It's ridiculous. There's no need for it. And so my fears are, it's years later. I'm not going to remember that many dates to a T. I remember most of them, but that's scary to me. And then to be assaulted and harmed to the point where I am permanently scarred and have a scar to the level where I would consider it mutilation. And I have bones that broken were healed improperly to the point where I will forever be in pain. I will forever have reminders of this person, and that is detrimental. I mean, this person fractured my skull to the point where 9 months of craniosacral therapy and physical therapy and doctors and huge help has not been enough. I'll have a dent that either my forehead is so swollen that I look ridiculous, or I'll have a dent that's so obvious that I'm embarrassed to take pictures, or I'll go in dim lighting to avoid it being seen. It's just horrible and wrong, and scars on my forearm, just burn marks, cigarette burns, nail marks. I mean, there's so much that I'll never be able to get rid of. I'll always have. And my fear is something as stupid and silly as a little date is going to be enough to be that reasonable doubt. I'm also afraid of the silly things, like my hair, because of just because of life and stress and some medical stuff, was thinning and falling out. So to make it like not as obvious, like I wanted to cut it shorter because that helps. And I took months to make that choice because I was so afraid that if I didn't look girly and sweet, that the judge wouldn't see me as a victim. Not that I want to be seen as that. I want to be seen as a survivor. But I was so worried about that. I'm worried to face that moment in my life again, because it was just awful. There's something about like feeling your consciousness slip away from you as somebody's choking you out while with the other arm like elbowing your head to death, and then throwing you down and kicking you in the face. There's just nothing like that you can explain. The pictures, the evidence should just be enough, but you can't guarantee that, and that scares me. There's no reason why he won't get put away, but there was no reason why he wasn't remanded, even with COVID, because he is very dangerous. Those are the things that scare me. And what scares me is they won't talk to me. They won't have like a sit and talk and go over like anything, like what it's going to be like until like an hour before I have to testify. And I have severe PTSD, not from this, but in life. Like, I've begged for years now to please have even a day before. I'd love a week before, but a day before would be nice. Even 10 hours before, something, like anything. But it just terrifies me. It just is not doable, apparently. And it's not cool. And I'm afraid that I'm going to be so emotional going through reliving all of that again, and then jumping into seeing him and being there, and it's just going to be a disaster. That's another worry. And I think it's okay to be afraid. And it's okay to talk about this. Just like another issue is like postpartum depression. Women and people, they don't talk about it. And then when women get too far and too down and too depressed and too lost, they're not even talking about it within themselves. And if you can't talk about the issue even in your own mind, you can't think about it in your own head without being uncomfortable, then you're definitely not going to fix it, because you can't the topic isn't even comfortable within yourself. And that's something we need to change. We need to change these topics being taboo, these topics being wrong, because these topics are just hurt people who need help. Every one of them. They might not be pretty, they might not be easy to talk about topics, but they're not anybody's fault. They're not the sufferer's fault. And that's why we need to talk about them. I guess I'm sitting here to just say what's worrying me. Just because maybe it'll make somebody feel less alone. Maybe somebody will listen and be inspired to talk to. Or have a conversation. Start a conversation here. Anything. Just to make this a little bit easier on the next person. If you guys would like to hear more about this kind of stuff on any topic that I feel or you guys want to hear about, then please let me know. Because I think that there's not enough of stuff like this. I love you guys. And I appreciate all you've done for me and for the community. We'll talk soon.